So we got a really weird one right here. So we got a guy who's a white belt, and he was recently rolling with a teenage kid, and he says the teenage kid's pretty good. He's like a maxed out orange belt, and he's pretty slick. And he said that this kid's dad is a purple belt. Well, when they were rolling, something weird kind of happened. During the roll with this kid, the white belt and the kid, the dad, who was a purple belt, started yelling at his kid saying to fuck that guy up. It's what he said to the guy. He basically was encouraging him. He was like, you got to get after him, fuck him up. And then the white belt, the adult, started to get like, what the hell's going on? He said he felt the kid on top of him, right, get really tense and nervous. And so he kind of was the same way. He was like, what the hell's going on? And so he said he started to, give the kid positions and let him tap him out. He's like, just go ahead and do this, kid, like, because I don't want you to have to go home to that guy being all pissed off. And so he wanted to try to take the high road and like really call this guy out, but he's like, I don't want to get fucked up because this guy's a purple belt. And he's wondering kind of what he should do because that's a really weird thing to happen. And he's wondering kind of, what to do. So first off, he said to go by T. So T, thanks for the question, dude. And man, that's a weird one. I've seen stuff like that happen before. I'll share a couple of experiences. Like one time I was at a tournament and I watched this guy. It was a kid, like a small kid, right? Maybe about like 10 years old. And so this kid, small kid. So this 10-year-old is sitting here with his dad, and his dad, they're looking at the mat, and the kid's getting ready to walk out. And I was passing by this. This was when I was a white belt, and I overheard the dad tell him, he's like, whatever you do, don't you fucking tap. And he slaps the kid on the back, and the kid goes in. So this dad, and at that point I stopped. I was like, what the, what's going on? And the dad stands there with his arms crossed, and he's watching this kid go. And this kid gets out there, and he gets beat. And, he taps out, and he was caught in an arm lock, right? So he tapped out, is fine. And as he's coming back, he's doing this, he's cowering, he's crying, and his dad just like smacks him on the back of the head, and it's like, just ridiculing him. It was fucking disgusting, and I didn't say anything. I really wish I would have said something. I just wasn't really sure how to react. If I would have been now, I definitely would have reacted and said something. There were other situations that have happened numerous times where, like, I'll watch kids in here, right, where the adults, it's one of the things that just bugs the piss out of me, right? So we'll have these kids, and when you watch kids when they train jiu-jitsu, they just have fun. They have no typically bullshit that they built into themselves where they are supposed to perform at a certain way or supposed to win or whatever it is. They just come in and train. They're all smiles, right? They're having a good time. But then you'll watch where the parents will sit on the side and they'll start trying to coach their kid, or they'll start trying to say things to them, and then you see the kids die. The demeanor changes immediately. And it's awful because it ruins the situation for the kid, right? The kid's no longer able to just play and have fun. They're like, oh no, if I don't do well, like, something bad's gonna happen. Like I've shared a story before where I had this young kid who went from being this really fun kid to all of a sudden he started being mean and angry. And one time the kid had his arm was locked out and he wouldn't tap. He was grunting and gritting his teeth. And I asked him what was going on. And he said that his grandpa, who he lived with, told him that if he didn't do well, that he wouldn't get to play Xbox, which meant if he tapped out and he lost, he didn't get to go home and play Xbox, which meant I immediately turned to Grandpa. I was like, come here, buddy, right? Let's have a conversation real fast. And so that's really bizarre to me that a guy who's a purple belt would do something like that, because they know what it's like to train, and they're going to pervert that experience for that kid. And so something tells me that there's something a little off with them, right? Because if you're yelling at your kid to fuck someone up when they're rolling during a class, there's something wrong with you. It's just period, point blank. There's something off with you that you would tell someone to do that. And so T, what I would tell you to do is if it happens again, I would definitely call him out. If you get fucked up, so what, man? Like, again, who cares? You don't want to, have to feel like you should have said something and not done it, right? Because that's your integrity. You don't want to lose that because you were too afraid, right? But again, if that guy says, fuck him up, right? I would say something, right? And I would want someone to say something. And the instructor, I don't know where your coach is at, but your coach should be immediately on top of that. That should not be allowed at all. And honestly, if that's what's going on in your gym, I would question what's going on around, and you may want to distance yourself a little bit, because there's no reason for that sort of thing to sort of invade your training space. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, as hard as we train, as hard as we get after each other sometimes, I will never, ever tell one of my students, fuck them up. It's going to be, get after. Let's get after it, guys. Let's push each other, right? Because we're building each other up. I'm not trying to tear someone down. And so I'm just kind of going off on a rant, because it's really, it's so strange. I've never heard of something like that. And so it's bizarre that that's happening. But T, what I would tell you to do, man, is just, if it happens again, talk to your coach, the head coach there, let them know what's going on. if that happens, call that dude out. Call him out in front of everyone, right? Because I think that we can all agree, most of us probably understand that that's BS, and I think that you'll probably have some friends in there that'll probably say, hey man, like, yeah, you should probably chill out, right? But maybe they're scared too, so say something to them. Call them out in front of everyone. Tell them to chill out, right? And again, if for some reason nothing good comes of that, like you talk to the coach and they're just like, ah, whatever, or if you talk to the guy and he doesn't, you know, kind of relent and kind of back off, I would honestly, man, maybe pursue other gyms, because there's something wrong there. That's not a good training environment, because you never know. Like if that's the mindset that they have, you might be rolling with some guy and all of a sudden you start to get the better of him, and then their mindset goes from training to, I'm going to fuck this guy up and I'm going to try to pop his arm. Okay, so that's something I would just keep in mind. So T, just kind of rambled a little bit, but hopefully that's helpful to you, brother, and thank you for the question.